you need to adopt that email growth mindset first and say, I'm going to do email marketing in the same way that I invested in photography or video or Tailwind for Pinterest or learning Facebook groups or doing Instagram stories or TikTok. At some point you said to yourself, I'm going to go all in on this thing, and that's going to be part of my business. Many have not said that with email. For many, email is that health food that you know you should eat, but it still sits over there because it looks like celery, when there's a Cinnabon over here that I could just nibble on.
That was Matt Molen, and this is episode number 201 of the Chopped Podcast. Hey there, how are you doing today? I am so glad you've joined me. I'm Marley McMillan. I'm with the blog Namely Marley, and I am your host of the Chop Podcast. Look, I just want to say I have an MBA and I was previously a COO of a small startup company, but you know what? None of that prepared me for a career in food blogging. As a food blogger, you need to understand entrepreneurism, productivity, mindset, self-motivation, marketing, social media, and even a lot of technical things like SEO. And so that's what we're talking about here on the Chopped Podcast. All of this as it relates to a career in food blogging or influencing. Today, we're going a little on the technical side because we're talking about emails. Again, I know, right? We just talked about that back in episode 183 when Matt was here on the show. And now I'm talking to him again, and we're talking about emails again. Is that overkill? I don't think so, because listen, there is a lot to talk about when it comes to email. I think, in fact, we could talk about emails for days and never get it all down. And Matt and I chatted, and I realized that there's a lot of things that have been going on since our last conversation. In fact, I'm sure you all are aware of a lot of this. There's been a pandemic, national riots about huge and important cultural shifts that need to happen in this country. If you found yourself scratching your head like, how do we continue to operate under these conditions? You're not alone. It's a lot to think about. And Matt is here to talk about how important it is to be aware and even be respectful of these kinds of situations. He's all about email on autopilot. That's the name of his course, except for times when, we have to be sensitive to the moment, times like right now. So we talk about that. And I love that we talk about ways that you can still carve out this email on autopilot program while also taking a pause on things like that. And so there's a lot of nuances and a lot of subtleties about how to go about doing that. And we talk about that. In addition, we also talk about ways to monetize your email list. So if you've ever felt hesitant to grow your email because you know the costs related to maintaining that list, I get you. Because there can be some sticker shock when you see just how much it costs to have a huge list. However, Matt is encouraging us to look at our email list as not as a cost, but as an investment. And he goes into all of that and more in today's episode. It's a great conversation. I mean, so much great stuff to learn from it. It's wonderful. But please be sure to listen all the way to the end because Matt mentions a couple of really great discounts on his current email courses. So if you've ever invested in courses on Pinterest or Instagram, but you haven't done that with email yet, now may be the best time ever to do that. And it's the summer months. And so that means traffic is a little lower. And I feel like this is a great time to kind of invest in yourself and learn some new skills. The amount of traffic I get from my email newsletter is up something like 800% after talking with Matt last year. So yeah, that's huge, but I still have a lot of room to improve. So I'm not putting myself out there as a model to follow. I'm just saying I'm really excited that I took the tips that he provided and used those things. And now my traffic is up so much from my newsletter list. But I'm really also looking forward to ways that I can grow my email newsletter and just serve it even better. So that's why I'm really happy to share with you today's episode. It's really full of lots of informational and inspiring tools and tidbits. So let's get straight to it. Here's today's featured conversation with Matt Molen. Hey everyone, I'm happy to have on the show today Matt Molen. He is with Email Crush. You might know him from his signature course, Email on Autopilot. He's back on the show today. Hey Matt, welcome to the Chop Podcast.
Marley, thanks for having me back.
I'm so glad to have you back. I had so much fun talking with you in episode 183, and we talked about emails and all the good stuff. But Matt, we barely skimmed the surface. There's so much that we could talk about on emails, don't you think?
Well, I've made a career out of it. So yes, I tend to think so. Yes.
Do you ever get tired of talking about emails?
I actually really enjoy it. And I think this is what drove me into this space, is because I was doing marketing for a daily deal site before I did this. And email was such a big part of what we were doing. And then I started doing on my own side hustles, and I started helping some other people out with it. And I saw what it can do to help people to create a brand, to engage in a very unique way that you can't really do with any other marketing medium. And I fell in love. And so in terms of being able to, to build your brand, to sell products, to tell people about what you've got going on, and to actually connect, it's hard to beat email marketing.
Yeah, it's one of those things I think that it's like you have an area of expertise that it would have been so easy for you to just to take that for granted, but somehow you saw the light that wow, other people are struggling with this. I think I could probably help them.
Well, I fell into it on kind of on accident because I was talking to some fellow bloggers. As I mentioned, I was Side Hustle, which is a travel blog, and I was talking to fellow bloggers, and they were telling me, "Oh yeah, we don't do that." And I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
Oh,
And so I started helping a few people, and they really got a lot of value out of it. And then that allowed me to crystallize and formalize um, what has become my course, what has become my strategy, and I've been able to help a lot of people over the last couple of years where they've seen significant growth, seen incredible ROI with it, and that's given me a lot of confidence to just keep going. So that's part of the joy of it too. Is when you know you've got something that helps and that works,
yeah.
you get pretty excited.
Yes, that whole concept of like, just because you know it and it's worked for you, but also getting in there and helping other people succeed has got to feel great.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I was just going to say, I know that you've worked with a lot of very big bloggers or people who maybe have grown into being big bloggers as a result of working with you. So that's got to feel good.
That's been very, very rewarding. And as you know, especially in the blogging space, people help each other out. They talk when
Yeah.
something works, they share it, and it's so rewarding. That's it's so different than a lot of other competitive environments that I've been in with my career. And it's quite a breath of fresh air for sure.
I totally agree. I have definitely noticed that. And by the way, just so you know, I don't think that was as much, when this all started, when right before, like I'm talking about food blogging in particular, I don't think there was as much sharing going on. But over the years, I just love how people just like, hey, this has worked for me. You should try this too. Isn't that just so cool?
It is cool, and it's a recognition. I think, well, number one, it comes from a place of humility. We all
Yeah.
recognize where we started. We remember what that was like, and we know that there's another corner for us to turn, and we're going to need help again. And so that pay it forward, helping mentality is just one of the things that really draws me to my clients.
So I'm going to agree with you about 80% on that, Matt, but I want to add something to this because I think there's something about having a female led audience, at least for food bloggers. I think we have a lot of female leaders and women, I just think have a tendency to be more collaborative. And I love that. So I'm just
Yes,
saying
I've
that.
definitely seen that, and willing to reach out and put an arm around a shoulder to help
Yes.
and lift somebody else up. It's fantastic.
Yep, I love that. Okay, so last time that you were here, we talked about something that I thought was just amazing. It got a lot of interest, and I know for me too. I was like, "What in the world is this?" And that was the email on autopilot course that you talk about, and just this whole concept of email doesn't have to be that hard. You can put it on autopilot. But then in the meantime, some strange things have happened. Like we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm just dying to talk with you about this. Like is email on autopilot the same when you're in such crazy times?
Boy, and at the time that we're recording this, we have the benefit of looking back on several weeks and months of very unique circumstances, and not just the pandemic, but also some social causes that have come to light, and some
Yes.
other catastrophes that have taken place. And so it's been an opportunity for us to kind of pause for a minute. So when we're looking at our email marketing, when we're looking at our automations, some of the people that are listening here might have something along the lines of a welcome series. Some might have introduced what I call a forever series, which is an ongoing automation where you're sharing the best of your stuff over and over and over again. And that those are usually evergreen series. They're kind of set it and forget it a little bit. And the power of that going in normal circumstances is so fantastic because you can create your message and you can put it in front of the right people in the right order and create kind of a journey for them. Now, what happens when that becomes tone deaf. We have to be cautious in those scenarios. And sometimes there's just practical implications to your automations as well. For instance, I mentioned my side hustle. Well, we do a lot related to Disney vacations. And as you know, during the pandemic,
Yeah.
nobody's going
Disney
on Disney
closed.
cruises or going to
Yes.
Disney World.
Yeah.
And so it didn't make any sense for us to continue with our regular automations that were about how to enjoy Disney vacations, how to make the most of them. So, so that would have been silly for us to keep sending that out. And that's just a pretty obvious example. But there's also, I mentioned being tone deaf. When we're talking about, when we're in the midst of really serious stuff, when people are scared, when they're angry, when they're rising up to rally around
Hmm.
a cause, that's might not be the time to be glib, to be
Yes.
robotic, to be automated. Now, I'm not saying that you should be glib, robotic, or automated in your messaging, but
Right.
sometimes if your automation goes out and it's off topic, it can be
Yeah.
considered very tone deaf. So yes, I think we just need to be sensitive to that. My advice to all of the people I worked with during these times was to go back and take a look at your automations. Do they make sense right now? Can you turn them off for a little bit? And things tend to pass, and we get back to normalcy. Or sometimes even for the better, you just need to change it because of what you learned when you went through whatever that period was. So yes, the power of automation is fantastic. Definitely use it, but let's be let's be smart about how we do so, so that we're not alienating anybody as we go.
Yeah, I mean, one example would be there was a period of time there where it was hard to get certain ingredients, and so to be mindful of that and to send out an email, like I did one in the middle of all that that said, here are some recipes that you can make with limited ingredients.
I
To
saw a
me,
lot of
that
that, yeah, and I think
yes,
that was a great way to address what's going on right now. Yeah.
right. Right. Like people can't get yeast. So we still can't get yeast. And so to be able to, if you were in the middle of all that talking about your great yeast breads, that might have been a little bit, not a good time for that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
instead,
so
what you can do is
okay.
come up with a solution to the current problem. So if you're having to turn off those automations, it might be time to increase the number of emails that you send that are specific to the time, specific to the environment. For instance, if you're a deal site, you're going to send more emails on Black Friday. That's just how it
Mm,
is, because
right.
people are buying and they want it from you. They want that content at that time. So you kind of have to ask yourself when you're going through situations like that, or any special circumstance, positive, negative, or commercial, or whatever it is this my Black Friday? you know,
Right.
and then take that moment and help if you can. So I saw from food bloggers during the pandemic, a lot of people shifted their tone, shifted their messages uh, to the types of things that you were talking about, and actually increased the amount of emails that they were sending for a time, because it helped provide answers to the problems that people were going through right then. What do I make from my pantry? How do I keep my kids busy? What are some baking projects? And so things like that, those were really well received, actually drove a lot of traffic back and helped build a brand that was stronger than ever.
Yeah. With more, like personal connection like that. That's huge. Matt, I was going to ask you a technical question because is it hard? Like, let's say at the beginning of the year, I've gone through and I've created my Forever series, and let's just say it goes out once a month or something like that. Is it hard to get into that system and actually make a change?
It's going to depend on your email service provider, but MailChimp, ConvertKit, MailerLite, those types of platforms are going to have a pause feature, or put it into draft mode. So it's usually not very difficult. No.
Okay, good. I was wondering about that. If it's, just so no, it's just as simple as going in there and clicking pause, and then maybe you create a couple of new ones to go in place, for, like you say, kind of keeping your um, eye on what's going on, and you'll know when is the right time to start the series back up again.
And let's use a like a more normal type
Okay.
situation where you might do that. So that's for food bloggers around the holidays. You can create additional automations. You know that you have a ton of content related to entertaining, what to make, appetizers, Christmas cookies, whatever it is that you do during the holidays. You could create some automations that when people join your list, you turn on this holiday automation that runs from November through the end of December instead of your general automation. And so you could still use the power of automation. Maybe somebody's coming in November 1st, maybe they're coming in December 1st. If they came in December 1st, they're going to miss out on what? 4 emails at the back end of the series that you made? So what? They still got the first 4, which were more relevant to them at that time, and you didn't have to do anything other than write it, turn it on, and let it go in the order that you want it to be served. So that makes sense if you've got any sort of longer period of time. Summer might be something like that, as an example, or getting back in shape at the beginning of the year. Maybe you do a month or 2 long automation that you turn on for a while, and then you just turn off and go back to your other general automation when that time is up.
Holy cow, I love this because, now the summer months, I think we oftentimes talk about how there's some more downtime during the summer months. So this would be a perfect time to be building up some short-term automation series like that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. And then looking for opportunities in those emails, maybe to link to other content or to, in other words, let's say it's a Christmas cookies or whatever that you're going to be featuring. You could have a whole bunch of links that you could include in that email.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, I love it. Okay, so let's talk about something else related to emails because I feel like that was pretty huge topic. But you and I are also in a group on Facebook where there's been some discussions lately about selling to your email audience, and there was quite a bit of controversy related to that. And I thought I want to talk to Matt about about the ins and outs of selling to your email group. Can you talk about that?
Sure. Well, I think it's interesting to kind of tell the story a little bit more that got you and I talking here. So in that group that you were referring to, somebody came on and said, "Look, I'm having a hard time selling my products to my list. I keep hearing that the money is in the list. Why aren't people buying?" And this person actually tagged me, and that led to a
Yep.
conversation. So I called her up and we were talking, and she said, "I'm trying to sell this thing." And I said, "Okay." And I don't pretend to be an expert on the product that she was selling. It was something like some sort of e-course or ebook or something along those lines.
Hmm.
And as we were going through, I said, "Well, so who are you sending it to?" And she said, "I'm sending it to my entire list." And I said, "Okay, so how big's your list?" 3,500 people. I'm like, all right, well, there's your first challenge. Now we need to grow that list and the reason for that is probably obvious. Obviously, the bigger of a list that we have, the more people we have that are more likely to purchase from us.
Yes.
Okay. So that was kind of epiphany to her, number one, because she had not been focused on list growth at all. She was
Mm.
one of those people that, trust me, I meet so many, and I was like this too, where the form on the box says subscribe for updates. When was the last time you ever wanted to subscribe for update? Who wants more emails in their life? Most people don't. And so what
Yes.
I talked about, I think, on episode 183 was my favorite technique for list growth. And so if you go back and listen to that episode, you'll hear all about that. It's still 100% relevant. But so what I was doing is first instilling the email growth mindset into this
Yes.
person because that's where it all starts. Now, could we work on her messaging? Sure. Could we work on the product offer? Absolutely. Could we work on the funnel? Everybody loves the word funnel. Could we work on the
Yes.
sales funnel? Yes. All those things we could work on. But if you don't have a lot of people to sell to, then your overall sales results are going to they're going to suffer. So
Yeah.
now I imagine if somebody's out there listening and they're like, "Well, I'm just getting started," that's okay. Even when you have a small list, you can still sell to them. Now, my point is not that you have to have a big list before you can start selling. That's not it at all. But what I am saying is that if you do have a product, all of a sudden the importance of your list growth becomes even bigger
Yes.
because that's where the ROI is. You're going to really start seeing significant leaps and gains because if you convert at a certain rate, the bigger, obviously it's just math, the bigger the pool that you're pulling from to get to convert at that rate, the more money you'll make.
Well, I mean, often heard in marketing that 1% is a good response to some campaigns. So, I mean, just right there, if you're thinking, in between 1 and 5% is a good response, then the larger the list, the larger the, response.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that another thing that really helps is when you are targeting the right people. So, we can
Right.
obviously do Visa card giveaways and get a ton of people on our list and yada yada
Yes.
yada. And I'm not saying that that's an unviable strategy. It might work for you. It might work for in some cases, but usually when we segment our lists and understand what it is that she is interested in, we're much more likely to be able to sell her something. Now, to put it in perspective, learning number 2, as I addressed this with that client, is that most of her traffic was coming to her website for comfort food. And
Okay.
she was selling a healthy food related product.
Oh,
So there was an immediate disconnect right there.
yes.
So
Yes.
if she now I'm not saying that she needed to change products. That would have been my one of my early pieces of advice. But she already had this product that was created. Then she just needs to build a list of people that really is going to resonate, with whom it's going to resonate. So segmentation is a big opportunity within email as well. And there's lots of ways you can segment your list. You can do it based on their behavior of what they open and click. You can do it based off of the lead magnet that you use to get them to sign up, or what form do they sign up, or what page were they on when they signed up, or do they click a link in your emails and a trigger or tag is set. These are all, I'm getting kind of into level 200 classes right now, but
Yeah.
that's the type of stuff you can do with today's email marketing platforms.
I mean, if you think about it, Matt, that's a little bit like I'm sure you've got an email list that corresponds with, you're talking about your Disney travels. It would be like, the very common thought of what your email consists of is people who have kids that travel. But what if you had this product that was how to go to Disney with your parents? Well, that might not apply to the majority of people. I don't know, maybe it
That's
would,
right.
but I'm just saying it sounds to me like what you're saying is you've got to have a way to differentiate your list so that if you're selling a specific product, you can sell to that group only.
It really helps in your overall conversion. It's
Yes.
basic marketing. It's matching a solution to a problem.
Yes.
And so the more relevant you are to that person who has that problem, makes your solution a perfect fit, the better you're going to do. So we've got the importance of growing your list. We've got segmentation really helps. But there's
Yes.
one other thing that she was not doing. And she had this list, and she had the old subscribe for updates thing, and she had RSS emails going out, which,
Oh,
those are
yes.
fine. Those tell people that your diehards that you've updated your WordPress, basically.
Yes.
That's what an RSS email says is, no, now I've got,
I have a new post.
jalapeno muffins available.
Yes. Sounds good.
Yeah, that might be why I'm not a food blogger. But anyway, so what could we be doing instead? Well, how about building trust? How about building subject matter expertise by using our email? So the first time that they hear from us is not a, hey, buy this thing, but instead it's, over time, I'm solving this problem for you with this recipe. I'm solving this problem for you with these ideas and with these tips and these secrets,
Yes.
and value. It gets sent every week. So then when the time is right and they know that you know this topic like the back of your hand, then it's like, but bam, let me share my premium level thing that's really going to blow your mind. What they're thinking is, oh, if the free stuff was great, this thing must be next level awesome.
Right.
And so building that trust, building that subject matter expertise is as simple as being regular with your emails and solve a problem with every email that you send.
And so that's more than RSS feed because the RSS is basically I publish a new post, it goes out. But that's very impersonal. So I think what I'm hearing you say is our emails need to have a touch of personal to them.
I think that you need to put yourself in the shoes of the reader.
Yes.
What problem does this email solve for that reader? If you don't know the answer to that, then your reader probably doesn't know the answer. Now,
Ah.
one of the challenges that my clients often come back to me, because I work with a lot of food bloggers, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, what problem does a bran muffin solve? Well, I can think of one specific problem that it
Yeah.
solves for me, um, but I think that you have to start thinking about, okay, why does anybody eat a bran muffin? Why does anybody want instant pot stew? Why does anybody want lemon chicken?
Yes.
Whatever those things are. And if you can identify how those solve problems, then your email is going to be much more impactful. Because otherwise, they're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm getting this email at 7 a.m. I'm not really in the mood for some cucumber salsa,
Yes.
right? So
Did you just come up with
identify
that
what
cucumber
problem.
salsa? That sounds
Yes.
terrible.
No, it is. It's really, really bad.
Okay.
And I don't recommend anybody make
Okay.
that one.
Good.
But you could probably rank number one on Google for it if you want.
I bet you could. Yes.
uh, So anyway, the other thing that I think is that people miss out on is what's happening in people's lives right now. What are they thinking about right now? Well, during quarantine, they had very specific things on their mind, as we talked about. If you're headed
Yep.
into Memorial Day weekend, well, what problems can you solve for them for Memorial Day or Easter or whatever holiday? Um,
Right.
that, especially in the food world, my goodness, it's so easy to do that and to provide a solution for our entertaining, for our healthy eating, for our cravings, whatever it is, using that as our guide to help provide value and answer problems.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, we're used to this conversation about what questions is our audience asking about, whatever particular post that we're talking about, because that's kind of an on-page SEO thing that we've been doing a lot lately. What questions are people asking about cucumber salsa and how can we answer that? Like why?
Yeah,
But, to be able to do that in an email, then it's just taking it another step further. I think it makes so much sense, but it does take a little bit of like higher level thinking, I guess.
absolutely. If you've
Yeah.
already given it that thought and you've already thought, then it's easy to present that in your emails.
Right.
But let's not do the whole thing of, okay, guys, I put up cucumber salsa on the website today, because I'm going to ask, who cares?
Yes. Right.
Why should I care?
Right.
Make me care.
Make me care. I love that. Yes, that is really good. Okay, so I wanted to ask you a question about segmentation. I imagine that like you just kind of ticked off a few email service providers such as Mailchimp and MailerLite and all of those. I mean, is it your experience that some are better at segmentation than others?
Well, I'm not an expert on every platform.
Sure.
I spend most of my time in ConvertKit for this reason. So my history, when I started trying to implement my system, the one that I teach in my course, which eventually became my course, I really struggled to do it with the platform that I was on originally. And so I
Mm.
switched to ConvertKit because it allowed me to easily create automations, triggers, create segments, and do it all in a way that was intuitive to me that I could set up. Now, I'm not here to shill for ConvertKit. I do really like them. I am an affiliate, but I know that there's a lot of platforms out there today that have this same level um, of feature set. And
Right.
so, it's just understanding how to do it. It's just like with any piece of software. Is it possible? Usually it is. How do you do it? How hard is that? Do I understand it? That's a whole different discussion. But that's part of why I'm here, is to help with some of the technical stuff too.
But it's worth someone's while. I mean, you're what I'm hearing you say is segmentation is so important that it's worth your while discovering how the particular service that you're using, how it offers that service.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that there's more and more tools that are coming out to help us, both on the front end with, the whole concept of pop-ups and opt-in forms,
Yes.
as well as the back end, meaning the email service provider.
So they're all starting to realize that, hey, people find this kind of complicated, so maybe we need to make it simpler. It sounds
Absolutely.
like.
So,
Yes.
if you're trying to segment, the obvious place to segment is where your traffic is landing. So, where's your traffic coming right now? If they're coming into a section on your website that's all about gluten-free recipes, well, maybe that tells you something about that person, and some sort of opt-in related to gluten-free is probably going to work better for that person than a general, hey, get dinner on the table fast kind of thing. So that's my a big part of what I do is to help people see what those segmentation opportunities are, and then how to go get them. What lead
Yes.
magnet to create, what email hook to create, how to get them onto the list, and then once they're on the list, how to send them stuff that's related to that segment in an automated fashion that doesn't make your life super challenging and complicated. I know that for somebody that's brand new to this, they're probably listening going, okay, that seems a little complicated. It's
I
really not
know.
that bad.
Yes.
Okay, go back and listen to 183 because I outline kind of the whole program there, and then
Yeah.
you're ready for this segmentation stuff, because this is where the money is. This is where you're going to see all of the opportunities. This is where your sponsors will pay you more. This is where you'll find affiliate opportunities. This is where you'll be able to say, you know what, my gluten-free friends, my gluten-free readers, they're more apt to want a gluten-free cookbook, and I can make it for them.
Yeah, so those people that have their hands on their hips, like, Matt, I tried to sell in my list and it didn't work. Well, okay, so I think you can't, you really have to put a little bit more thought into it. It seems to me like you would want to plan a campaign that you're going to sell to. So in other words, I don't just like plop an email out there and expect to get results. I have to kind of build up to that email.
Absolutely. In fact,
Okay.
there's lots of different ways that you can do the traditional sales launch, but you guys have all seen it. We've all seen it, and the reason that and what I'm about to describe to you is that it's really kind of a generic template and can be modified. But if you're creating a sales launch, and was going back to our friend that was struggling with her product sales, all she did was she sent one email out going, please buy my product. And I already ticked off all the other things that I thought were wrong.
Yes.
But even if she, with that list growth that she had, or the list size that she had, with a broad audience, maybe the product wasn't on point. She probably could have got better results if she just followed a little bit smarter sales launch sequence. So here's a couple of things that you can do. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination is this all you can do, but let me just give you a sample of what a sales sequence might look like. Basically,
Okay.
what we're going to do is we're going to lengthen the sales cycle. All right. Instead of, hey, I have this product, come check it out, we're going to lengthen that. So what you might do is email number one might be, what's your biggest struggle with X, whatever whatever problem your product solves. I know I struggled with that, and I've come up with something. And tomorrow I'm going to share with you something I'm so excited about that solves it. In the meantime, hit reply and tell me what your biggest struggle is with X. Then day 2, launch the product. Okay, guys, I heard you, and it turns out everybody struggles with the same problem with X. I came up with a solution. Here's what it looks like. Here are the outcomes. Here's some testimonials. This is the big, long sales pitch, right? Or you're
Yes.
going to click them and get them to the big, long sales pitch. But it's the introduction.
Could you ever
From
see yourself first responding only to the people that responded to email number one, or do you go ahead and just email number two goes out to everybody?
Well, I'm always going to, especially if I'm selling a product, I'm always going to reply privately to anybody
Ah,
who responds to me.
yes,
Especially if I'm selling a product.
right.
Because these are the people, if they raise their hand and said, yeah, you know what, me too, you're like, then you write them back and you go, I feel you. I think, and I had the same problem you did, and tomorrow I'm going to help you. Just hang on till tomorrow and you'll love the solution, or whatever you're going to say.
Right.
All right.
I love
So
it.
then you launch it. Then what? Well, then here's a series of ideas of things that you can do to extend it over the next several days. And you choose the order. Idea number one is focus on the outcome. When people buy this product, they have these outcomes. They lose weight. They make things faster. They're happier. They never have to eat cucumber salsa again. Whatever the outcome is that you're promising, you focus on that in that email. That's supporting email number one. Supporting email number two is you think of every single objection that you could possibly get. This isn't right for me because of blah. The price seems extravagant. I don't like the color pink. Whatever. You give your answer as if you were standing there selling it in a sales environment to somebody. You give your answer to overcome those questions before they even ask it, because somebody out there is thinking it. Supporting email number three is my favorite, and it's the testimonials. Because yes, I'm hopeful that you've established subject matter expertise. I'm hopeful that people trust you and that they're your super fans. But there is the chance that they still need a little more over-the-top kind of encouragement. The testimonials can be your story. That's okay, but you really want the stories of some other people. What does that mean? Well, a short video. They put it on SiteJabber or Trustpilot or an Amazon review, a Yelp review. I don't know, whatever, depends on what business you're in. So you want to collect testimonials so that you can share them here. And then last but not least, the final day. The final day is where you hit them with the sense of urgency. And that is, guys, today's the last day. And then you kind of repeat, the value that they're going to get, why they want to buy today before it goes away or whatever. By the way, I didn't mention this, but it's always helpful to have a bonus. Even if it's an evergreen product that you always sell, for a launch sequence like this, it's always good to have a bonus so that you have a thing that goes away. And it could be something small.
Right.
It could be a bonus checklist that you're throwing in there. It could be a special extra chapter. It could be a special extra podcast episode. I don't know. And so on that last day, you send them one in the morning, and then at least you send them one in the evening that says final hours, last chance. And most of your sales will take place on that last day. Some people extend that out and do 3 or 4 emails on that day. You got to feel that out for you.
Yes, I've actually seen, I know we've all seen these series happen, because I have had some people who's like, this final hour. And then the next day I'll get an email saying, so many people responded saying they missed out and they want another chance. So we're extending it just a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yes, there's
Smart.
obviously those cliches and those tricks that people play. You have to decide where you fall and which tactics you're going to use. But this formula, think about what we're doing here. People need convincing. They need to see it. The first time you sent it, they might not have absorbed that you even had it. They didn't get what it was. And so putting it in front of them multiple times is going to help with your overall sales of that particular product over the course of that time. Now, I will tell you that with today's technology, again, and I love this, give them a chance to opt down. Give them a chance to get out of that sequence so they don't get the sales anymore. And the way that you do that is at the bottom you say, not interested in this special offer, click here, or not interested, click here to stop receiving emails about this special offer, or however you're going to phrase it. Give them a chance to opt out. So they don't just sit there getting more and more irritated because it's not right for them.
That's awesome, because they're still on your list. They just don't continue to receive those sales on that particular product. Because you can imagine, I'm going to have Holly Homer on. She's with Kids Activity Blog, and she's going to be on talking about her email strategies, which I think she's worked with you in the past. But her point was, if she's talking about potty training your kids, and this particular person doesn't have any kids, or maybe their kids just all grew out of that phase, so they don't want to see that anymore.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. You want to, as much as we possibly can, which is what goes back to the segmentation, goes back to the relevance.
Yes.
But as much as we possibly can, we want to make this as relevant for them as possible so that they continue to get value from us as a trusted subject matter expert. People don't mind when somebody they trust has something for sale. You know, if you're a big
Okay.
Dave Ramsey fan and you listen to him on the radio and he comes out with Financial Peace University or he comes out with a workbook or a class or something and he mentions it, you're not irritated by that. You know that it probably will solve some problems. So we don't need to be afraid of sharing the value here, especially when we've got the right people on our list. But
And that's the
sometimes it's
thing.
just not right for them at that time.
Yes, I think some people, I mean, there is a common understanding that there's a fear of sales. And so I think I'm glad that you said that. Don't be afraid. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I just want to say to you that I have oftentimes heard from people, like, I think probably one of the number one complaints about growing your email list, which has been, something you've talked about a lot, is that it gets really pricey and it gets very expensive because, the email list is not free.
Right.
But I think what I'm hearing you say is one way to help monetize your email list is to sell to them. But I'm just curious, are there other ways that we could be looking at monetizing our email list?
There's a lot of ways, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I think a lot of people look at email as a cost instead of an
Yes.
investment. And for me, I look at it completely different. If this is just a cost to you, then you're probably you're probably not seeing the whole picture of what's possible. So in my own particular, I'm just going to share my own particular story with my little side hustle. I'm not even going to tap into the businesses that have made multi-millions of dollars using email. I'm just going to talk about my little tiny side hustle. And in March, remember I have a Disney vacation related website. So around March 15th, the whole world stopped as it relates
Yes.
to Disney vacations, both in traffic and CPMs or RPMs from my ad network. Just gone.
Yep.
So my wife and I quickly pivoted and we released a bunch of fun Disney things you could do at home. Now, was I getting any Pinterest traffic, Instagram traffic, Google traffic? No. The only traffic I had was the ability to email that list that I've been nurturing. This is the prime example of when the whole world goes away for you. we sent
Yes.
out we sent out a few more emails than we normally do, but we sent out content that was on point related to what was happening. Disney fun at home. Our revenue from our ad network for March equaled that of February.
Wow.
Which, if you think about what happened to us and just the sheer drop off that happened in March 15th, I call that a win. In fact, that probably right there justified the cost of the list for the entire year.
Yes.
Just because that revenue would have been gone and I would have had no way to recoup it. Okay, so that's an overly obvious, but a lot of people are like, could that really happen to me kind of scenario, especially when many food bloggers saw a huge uptick during the quarantine period. But you did see probably changes in the ad spends. So
Yeah.
having that as an insurance policy really helps. Number two, as your list grows, as you serve people, as you increase your opens and clicks, your overall ad revenue is going to go up. Maybe that is a silly thing to even mention. Maybe that's so obvious. But your overall ad revenue will go up as people engage with you more and come back over and over and over again. Number three, as you segment and you start hearing back from people, you're going to get a sense, if you're doing it right, you're going to find out as they reply back to you what their needs are right now. That gives you an opportunity to A, create content, or B, create a product, or find an affiliate partner. I use affiliate partner. Now, obviously, Amazon has changed the game just recently,
Yes.
but I still make quite a bit of money off of non-Amazon affiliates because I know the segments and what they're interested in, and I'm able to then share content related to affiliates that work well for them. This is all in my little side hustle. And then last but not least, sponsors. Most of my clients that do sponsored posts with brands are not doing anything with email. They're kind of throwing it in. And the brand isn't coming to them saying, yeah, tell me about email. The reason for that is that most food bloggers suck at email. That
Yeah.
didn't sound very nice. But
Just say what you think. We want to hear from you, Matt.
but I mean, what it means is that the brands have not seen a model where they're like, oh, I could really do, I could really tap into this. But if you think
Yes.
about it for a second, what does a brand want? And I've been in their shoes. I've been on their side. I am willing to pay more for a more targeted set of eyeballs. I am willing to pay more for the increased chance that my product or service gets seen and or purchased by the end user. Email does that in a way that almost no other sponsorship can. So going back again to my little side hustle, I actually sell email sponsorships. Now, this isn't the, okay, give me your graphic and I'll drop it in here and then it looks like an ad.
Yeah.
No, this is the same way that everybody does sponsored posts, where it's my content, it's my words, and I put it in context for my readers because I know how it will help them. And I get paid every single month by one brand that loves what I'm doing because we are so narrowly focused on a certain audience that really helps them. So, what is that for you? How do you make money besides ads? And I think
Interesting.
that that's the question that you should be asking yourself, because if it's any of those other things besides just ads, then yeah, you have a big opportunity here to put your product, service, affiliate, brand in front of somebody that is going to get it. And that's a great way to diversify your income.
I love this because I think we're all constantly getting emails from people, companies that want to, get their name out. Oftentimes they want, to get their name on our site. It's some new product they've launched and they want us to talk about it on their blog. But, the idea of pitching them a sponsorship from my email is just huge because first of all, it doesn't cost me a link on my site. And you doing it by email seems like it'd be a lot easier.
So this is a little freebie. I'm going to take this type of stuff and I'm going to actually create a course out of this, because this is money making
Good.
gold right here. But I was on the phone with a client this last week, and I gave her this strategy. So she does a lot of sponsorships. I said, go back to your to the sponsor that you had the most successful sponsored post with most recently. The brand should really like you, and they should be happy with you. Go back to them and say, I will do an email power boost, where what I will do is for X dollars, I will send out another notice about our sponsored post, one per month for the next quarter. So you're going to get 3 bonus blasts for X amount of dollars. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to drive them back to that post. But I'm going to do it. It's not going to be the same email each time. It's going to be a slightly different take on it.
Nice.
So it feels fresh and new to the subscriber. And the brand went for it in a heartbeat. And so
Wow.
this client is so excited because she knows she's just going to add email power boosts nonstop as a bonus thing that she offers to make some money.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea. So in other words, and the ideas that you have for monetizing your email list, I think what I heard you say is, first of all, just traffic. You know how many people you have on your list and how many click through. That if you get certain RPMs, that just the traffic value alone is worth some money. There's affiliates, and then sponsorships. Did I
Absolutely.
miss something?
And
Yeah.
there's your own products, whatever those might be.
Sure.
Whatever
Yes.
you can think of. If you have these segments, that's another thing that occurs to me, is that, so if I find out I've got a massive, maybe I've got this website and my food, as my recipe website is pretty big and it covers a lot of categories, but I find out that my Instant Pot stuff is doing really, really well. I could create an
Yeah.
Instant Pot course, an Instant Pot
Right.
guide, an Instant Pot bonus. I could partner with some of those apps that are out there that cater to that audience and share my content related to Instant Pot, or share their content to my Instant Pot lovers, whatever.
Yes, that's a great idea. I love that. So, and I think you did mention that too. In fact, some of the responses or some of the, if you get greater engagement on certain emails, those are all little signals from your audience telling you what they want, and that's opportunities for you to create products or courses or some kind of
Absolutely.
support that people could pay for. I love this because it just, like you say, it takes people away from looking at their email list as a cost and more of an investment. And I think that's a great way of doing it.
Yeah, I think that it's a mindset change. You need to adopt that email growth mindset first. And say, I'm going to do email marketing. I'm going to invest in email marketing in the same way that I invested in photography or video or Tailwind for Pinterest or learning Facebook groups or doing Instagram stories. Because at some point, or TikTok, at some point you said to yourself, I'm going to go all in on this thing. And that's going to be part of my business. We can't do everything. But many have not said that with email. For many, email is that health food that you know you should eat, but it still sits over there because it looks like celery. When there's a Cinnabon over here that I could just nibble on,
Yeah.
right? You
SEO
know
is
it's
kind of
going to
like
be
that
good for
Cinnabon.
you.
It's hard to say that SEOs or maybe social media or whatever, that it's got a more sex appeal to it than emails.
Right. Everything has more sex appeal to it than email. I can tell you that. But you
Yeah.
know that it's going to be good for you in the long run.
Yes,
But you've
exactly.
been putting it off, and you've been putting it off, and you've been putting it off. So I recently, just as a little update on my business, because of that, I've understood that everything starts when you first start growing a list. People get excited when they first start seeing that little glimmer of hope of the list starting to grow. So I am coming out, and I think this is the first place I'm sharing this. I'm coming out with a new course that's an entry-level course called Email Quick Start. And the whole point of it is short, it's sweet, but it's my proven and tried and true method for how to grow your list fast. Now, the charge for that course is going to be $150. But right now, as we're going through this right now, I am creating a beta test group because I just need to work out a couple of the bugs. Do the videos work right? Do they explain what I want to say? So I'm offering that for free to anybody who's listening right now if they get in during the beta test period. If they want in on that, email me, matt@emailcrush.com, and I'll hook you up if we're still in the beta test period. Okay, so if you want that, save yourself $150 and get your email started right away. And give me some feedback on my new thing would really help me out too.
I love it. How long, how long is that good for? Do you know? Or can you say
Well,
yet?
it's going to depend a little bit on when this releases, but
Sure.
yeah, I'm going to keep it open for probably a 6 to 8 week period. And
Okay.
so
Good.
there's a good chance that you're going to be able to get in if you email me. So just email me at matt@emailcrush.com, and if we're closed, then we're closed, but I'll throw you some sort of bone probably.
But look, it is the summer months. So again, this is a time of year where things kind of get slower for food blogs. And so why not take this opportunity to learn a new skill, especially one that's going to pay off such huge dividends? So
Couldn't have said it better
I like it,
myself.
Matt. I like it. Okay. So Matt, I love to ask these fun questions at the end of the interview, and we just went through all this. So I can't even remember, what was your favorite food? Do you remember?
My
Does
favorite
it
food.
ever
Well,
change?
maybe yeah. See, I'm one of those where I hate being put on the spot like that because I feel like if I said Thai food, that the big juicy burger would be offended, and the big juicy cheeseburger, I really don't want to offend that and lose that out of
Yeah.
my life. So,
Yes.
I'm gonna punt on that. But it's probably between
Okay.
Thai food and the cheeseburger.
I feel like you did say a burger last time.
Okay, all right. So I do have some consistent loyalty. All right.
Yes, exactly. But so for you, it's either between Thai food or the burger. Yeah, that's
That's
a
how
big
I'm feeling
switch.
right now. Yes.
Yes. And I also love to ask, what's the favorite app on your phone? I don't remember what you said last time, but I'm curious if you have a new favorite one.
Well, okay, so I don't know what I said last time either, but right now I have been using Marco Polo a heck of a lot more. It took my kids to teach me and get on it, but
Yes.
I've actually used it with my clients recently, and it's really fun. It's a quick and easy way for me to give an update without having to text something. I can ramble for just a minute and explain something, and then they can get it at their leisure. So I've actually been using Marco Polo for business, along with keeping in touch with my aging father-in-law. So he gets the videos, and it allows me to just say hello to him during the day.
Does he enjoy that?
He acts nice about it.
Aw.
If your son-in-law Marco Polo's you, I'm not really sure. But this is the guy that when I first met his daughter, my wife had been dating so many guys, he didn't know which one I was. So he differentiated me by calling me long neck. And so, so this is the guy that has forever referred to me as old long neck.
I love it. That's so good. Nothing better than sending a video to him then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Do you have any time for TV or reading at all? And if you do you have a recent favorite?
I've been binge watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's
Oh.
been my guilty little pleasure recently. I've enjoyed that.
What is that on Netflix?
It's on Hulu. It's an
Hulu,
NBC
okay.
show, and I'm just late to the game on it.
I love it. Okay, I'm gonna check that one out. I don't know anything about that one at all. Okay, so Matt, how can people find you online?
The easiest thing is to check out emailcrush.com. If you're serious, go get emailonAutopilot.com. That's my signature course. That's the one that's going to change your game forever. If you're serious about it, I'll give $100 off to anybody who enters the coupon code CHOPPED, and I'll let that run through the end of the summer. Go check that out. That's emailonAutopilot.com. Or take me up on that beta test thing that I mentioned by just sending me an email.
I love it. Matt, I have had such a great time talking with you today, so thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Marley.
Thanks to Matt Molen for being my guest on today's episode of the Chopped Podcast. If you want to hear about the latest in food blogging, including keeping up on every episode of the show, head to chopped.academy and hit subscribe today. Also, be sure to enter the discount code CHOPPED when you go to Matt's course, Email on Autopilot, or email Matt to see if you can get in the beta program for his Email Quick Start course. I'm not an affiliate with this program. I just am excited to provide you with opportunities to grow your site. Are you loving the Chopped Podcast? Well, there are ways you can help support it, such as going to iTunes and subscribing or leaving a review. I can't tell you what a difference that makes. It's really wonderful. You don't even have to leave the podcast app to do it. From the Chopped feed, just simply scroll down to the bottom and leave a review. That's it. You can also send me a note via email or on social. I just love hearing from you. You inspire me, and I hope today's show is helpful and inspirational to you as well. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.